Why don't we act? What is the problem? What was it about first graders losing their lives that wasn't sad enough to result in changes?
The grip, in fact, stranglehold of the NRA and other special interests on the congressional process has undermined our efforts, in fact, blocked them. But I really believe that we can honor these victims and we can arrive at a tipping point where we change America, and America will feel the same fury that I felt watching these images.
What is your understanding of the argument, and this has been already tied in today, the legislative effort to legalize silencers, or some silencers in some cases? What's your understanding of that argument?
The argument for silencers?
Yeah, for legalizing the use of silencers on weapons.
Making the purchase or use of silencers easier is supposed to be good for the ears of the folks who are shooting. You know, what a travesty when you think that the reason that those folks ran from those gunshots is they could hear them. This legislation ought to be a non-starter, like the concealed carry legislation. What a travesty and a tragedy that the supposed reforms that Congress is considering now are the silencer legislation and the concealed carry proposal. We ought to have an agenda of common sense steps to stop gun violence, including a ban on assault weapons and the high-capacity magazines that are used for these mass killings. The assault weapons have no purpose but to maim and kill human beings. They're weapons of war. And, of course, background checks for everyone who buys a gun, especially to keep them out of the hands of dangerous people.
When do you believe the American people will have had enough to push back against the edges of the Second Amendment argument, enough to say we can live under the Second Amendment, but there should be limits?
I'm a law enforcer by training and career. I believe in the Second Amendment because it's the law of the land. But those common sense measures would in no way infringe on any constitutional right. The vast majority, more than 80 or 90%, believe that we ought to have background checks to keep these weapons out of the hands of dangerous people. I believe that we're reaching a tipping point, but remember also, between the time that Ronald Reagan was almost assassinated and the Brady Law, there were 10 years. So it is really a marathon, not a sprint, and we have to be in it for the long haul. That courage and strength of the Newtown families and of the families in Las Vegas and Orlando will inspire America, I believe, along with the horror of this unspeakable tragedy.
Connecticut Democratic Senator Richard Blumenthal. Senator, thank you very much for joining our